make one of my favorite recipes. It's a how to make your own pizza party. It's so fun. Brandon and I have done this a lot with friends. It's always a good time. So I'm excited to share this recipe with you. First thing, we're gonna start off by making a homemade sauce. It's super easy. So I'm gonna teach you how to do it really quickly. And then we'll get to the fun part. So first, the sauce. We like to use San Marzano tomatoes. They really are better in our opinion. So try to find them if you can. These are just whole peeled tomatoes. I'm gonna use the whole can. So I'm just gonna slide these into a blender. Whole peeled tomatoes, just put it all in there, just like that. Next up, you're gonna give it a good amount of salt. This just helps bring out the flavor of the tomatoes. I'm gonna say about a tablespoon. Next, garlic. I like to give my garlic a little bit of a smash. This just helps release some of the oils in it. And now I'm gonna add the garlic into my tomatoes. Then after that, I have some fresh oregano. You can use dried herbs, you can use parsley, you can use basil. I just had some of these, so I wanted to use them. I already washed these. I'm just gonna stick this in there. I think oregano is just like a really great herb. Adds a ton of flavor. So I just pull them off like this, the leaves. They come off kind of like that. Right into the sauce. Just kicks it up a little bit. The simplest recipes don't use herbs at all. It's just olive oil, salt, tomato, and garlic. For ours, I'm gonna add the olive oil later. So I'm just gonna make this sauce just like this. Put it on here, and we're gonna blend it up. Okay, super quick and easy to make. You can give it a little taste test, make sure it doesn't need any extra salt. That's pretty good. So, I am gonna pour this a little bit for our party. The rest I can freeze or use for something else later. Okay, now that we made our sauce, I'm just gonna set that aside and we're gonna get started with our dough. I have this pizza dough recipe on my blog, so you can go check it out. Just search pizza dough. You can make it overnight in the fridge, or it just takes a few hours. And it looks kind of like this when it's done. It might be a little bit fluffier. I punched this one down, so it's perfect just the way it is. I would suggest that you take off any rings or jewelry for this part. It can get a little bit messy. So first up, once we've determined that the dough is good, just like that, it's a little bit sticky, a little bit holds its shape, it's perfect. So you're gonna use a lot of flour. Don't be scared to use too much. You don't want anything sticking. So get this all over your surface. And then I used to put a little extra pile for my hands for this part. And I get my dough out of the bowl, which is, you kind of drizzle with olive oil beforehand so it won't stick to the bowl. Get this kind of rounded up. I have a dough cutter. You can use a big knife for this part. Just go ahead and cut it. The pizza dough we make can usually be cut into about 4 to 5 equal parts. Today I am gonna do 4. And this makes like a little bit bigger than a personal pizza, maybe if you're really hungry. I'm gonna cut it into 4 parts and show you how to make it. So it looks something kind of like this, about a handful or so. I'm gonna set the rest of them aside for later. If you want to do this with guests, I usually get it to about this stage, cut into the balls, and then when guests get here, then we get to the fun part, which is like actually making the pizza. So make sure your hands, again, have lots of flour on them so nothing sticks. So you can roll out dough with a roller, but I have found that the crust tastes a lot better when you kind of do this by hand. So this is why we took off our jewelry, so that we don't punch any holes into our dough. So again, as it stretches out, you might need to add a little bit more flour. Reserving a little extra around the edges, this is kind of what's gonna make the crust a little bit different than the actual pizza. Sometimes they get into a funky shape. Here you can see it's kind of like getting right where we want it. You can almost sort of see through it. This is exactly where we want our dough. Perfect. Next up, we're gonna get it on our pizza peel. This is a secret weapon when you're making pizza. Lots of flour. So what's gonna happen is this dough is gonna stick. So you wanna make sure that this is there so it can slide on and off without any trouble into the oven and out of the oven. So I'm gonna put lots on there. Again, don't be shy. here we go. Just gonna stretch this out into your shape that you want. If it makes a little hole like that, that's right at the edge, so that's like not a big deal at all. Now for the fun part. Okay, over here, we've got our sauce. You really don't need much sauce. So I like start in the middle and then just kind of work my way out. All around the pizza. So, just like that. And that's it. Next up, toppings, which are one of my favorite parts as well. We like to use mozzarella. I get it fresh made in these big balls, and I tear it up into little chunks. So, again, you can do this in slices, different things. This actually winds up cooking pretty evenly over the pizza if you kind of just disperse it evenly. We think mozzarella is the best. Some people mix in a little provolone. My favorite pizza is pepperoni. I like it classic, like I said. So I have some pepperoni here that I have sliced up. I like them to be pretty thin, but not super thin. And this way they get a little bit crispy, and you still get that really good pepperoni flavor. So I put this all over as much as you want. Here you could do basil, you can do, you know, any kind of veggies, olives. This is really your pizza is your oyster. You could do oysters, I guess. That's weird, but don't do that actually. So here we go. We got this on there, and I like to top it with a little bit more cheese. This kind of helps the toppings stick, in my opinion. So just like that, over the top. This helps it get nice and melty, super delicious. It's my favorite. If you want, we also really like to use jalapeños, pepperoni jalapeno pizza. So I have that here, and you can just use a knife or whatever to get your pepper jalapenos out. This is also really fun to make if you want to just do like half of one topping, half of another topping. If you're not sure about what you want to have. So there you go. Got a little jalapenos there for you. And last but not least, this is what I think makes the crust so good, is here I have a little bit of olive oil with just some garlic salt, and I like to spread that over the edges. Just brush it on. It just gives a little extra pop, a little extra flavor. Next up, we're gonna pop this into the oven, which I have been broiling on high for at least 30 minutes because I want my oven to be super, super hot. And while I was heating it up, I had my pizza stone in there so that my pizza stone is nice and hot as well, and that'll help cook the pizza from the bottom and from the top evenly. So that's kind of important as well. I'm adding a little bit of extra flour just under that olive oil to make sure that my pizza slides off super easy. Okay, now we have got our pizza ready. We're gonna get it into the oven. Wanna make sure it's nice and loose on there, kind of moves around. And just slide our pizza in there. And now it's just gonna bake for probably 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, our pizza's ready. And so I'm just gonna slide this in here, use my tongs to help get it out. There we go. It's looking really good once I got a little crispy, but that is perfect. It's just looking all delicious. You can add a few toppings if you want, like dried oregano and red pepper are just some great ones to add. Just a little extra flavor, totally optional though. And the last thing you can do is if you want, you can brush a little bit more olive oil on those edges. Just a nice touch, but again, totally optional. These are just things that make it more fun. And there you have it.